All right, guys, in this one, I'm going to be going over the history from ancient history all the way up to modern day 2026 of penis enlargement. If you guys are new to this channel, maybe you've heard us talking about the evolve method. What the evolve method is a systemic system of self-improvement designed to turn any man into the absolute best version of themselves using common mainstream techniques as well as completely unknown techniques that have been hidden from the mainstream that actually work, one of which is penis enlargement. Obviously, getting results in this area as a man is going to drastically increase your confidence, drastically increase your relationships, drastically increase your dating life. And so that being a huge part of life as a man, it's obviously extremely important, and that's why it's a part of the evolve method. Maybe you're wondering, how did this actually come to be? How did this practice actually come to exist? Well, in my opinion, this practice has always existed. I think that desire to be bigger in this area and women's selection for it, shall we say, and desire and preference for larger in this area, it's just an intrinsic part of humans. I think it's just biological, because if you go back to the beginning of time, we look at tribes who made cave paintings or statues. All of the men were portrayed with extremely large phalluses. And this is kind of universal across all cultures. It's a sign of masculinity, strength, etc. I believe cavemen back in the day were probably tugging on it, hoping that, cave woman would notice him a little bit more and like sleeping with him more than other caveman over there who's naturally a little bit more blessed. So I think it's been going on since the beginning of human history, but we also have some actual evidence from civilizations and knowledge about what they would do in ancient civilizations. Like I said, throughout most ancient cultures, size was a big focus of the culture. In ancient India, they had many practices revolving around massaging, energy work down there, oils, etc., to harness the energy in the lower chakras, because the lowest chakra, where the penis is, was considered a point of the man's strength and power and fertility. In ancient India, there was tons of phallic symbolism in hieroglyphics, carvings, statues showing pharaohs and gods with extremely large phalluses. Pharaohs were renowned for their sexual fertility and dominance, and this was associated with that. In several African tribes, penis enlargement was actually a part of a young man's initiation into manhood. They would use weights and stretch it over time, and gaining size in this area was a symbolism of masculinity and manhood in these cultures. So it wasn't just some niche practice. This was a part of the culture. Well-endowed man was just considered to have more status, more masculinity, better at pleasing women, more confident and worthy of social power. Tribes in the Amazon and Southeast Asia also had a lot of practices for enlargement. They would use different types of tools, bamboo, vines, stones, to create ways to stretch the penis over time. In the ancient Middle East, this is where the word jelk, if you guys have ever heard that before, that's probably the most commonly known term on the internet when it comes to PE is jelk. That comes from the Middle East. Arabs, it's called the Arabian jelk. And it was said that boys would be taught this exercise while they were young to prepare before marriage so they could better please their wife. So they'd be taught to do this growing up, probably once they reach teenage years, to prepare for having a relationship. So this is an absolutely ancient practice. I literally listed places all over the world where they are all focusing on this. This is why I believe it's ingrained part of being a human, and biologically it's just ingrained into us. I think it's fascinating that all these traditions existed all over the world at different time periods without any connection or communication between these people groups. That tells you everything you need to know about this desire to be better in this area, more masculine, more confident, more status amongst, the sexual marketplace and in social power. This is just a part of being a man. Whether you like it or not, we're here in these bodies, and this is the way it is, in addition to the way that women select for it. Studies have found that women do select for a larger size. They find it more attractive, everything else equal. Now, in the 1900s, there were actually some contraptions that began to be created Doctors were trying to create very like archaic tension devices designed to treat conditions like Peyronie's disease, post-surgery shrinkage, and just ED in general. Later on, vacuum pumps were created, and these are mainly created to help with ED, but they found a secondary side effect was that also size was gained over time if used properly. However, the real explosion in knowledge and information and innovation in PE came with the dawn of the internet. Almost immediately, there were forums being started of guys experimenting with ways to make themselves bigger. And on these forums, guys would share their different techniques, devices were being created, different routines, etc. And this was kind of just the Wild West era of PE. Guys didn't really know exactly what they were doing. There's a lot of trial and error, not much. It was just the beginning of community. People were using anecdotes and going off that. One guy would get results, say what he did, and okay, this is the standard now, even if he was doing a routine that was really not optimal or even dangerous in some sense. Guys were testing all sorts of things, sets, time under tension, amount of weight, spreadsheets tracking data. One of the most famous websites, I think it's still up today, was called Thunder's Place. And this is kind of one of the areas where guys were sharing a lot of information. This is way before my time, but that's kind of where it was, in the start of the internet in the 2000s. As you get into the 2010s, internet keeps evolving, these routines keep evolving, and more forums open up. There was a forum that got started on Reddit called r/ajelk4u, and this was where a lot more innovation was happening. This was actually the subreddit that I stumbled upon. I found it, I think, in 2019 when I was doing research on my brain tumor, which was causing sexual dysfunction. I just happened to stumble upon this website, or should I say forum, and on this forum, it was, kind of jarring because you grow up with the full belief that PE is impossible and that if it was possible, everyone would do it. So because no one's doing it, it must be impossible. Even though all these guys were talking about these routines they were doing, talking about their results, just on anonymous forums, my brain just could not believe that it was real. And I've had so many other guys who I see who they hear about it and they just don't believe that it's real, especially if they hear about it online. I tell one of my friends or client, they believe me because they trust me. I'm a real person, right? Why is this guy being lying to me? I know this guy. He says he's gotten results, then he must have. But on these online forums, I was just really skeptical. The guy who was like the moderator of the forum, he was also selling stuff. So I was like, this is just a scam to sell stuff. I was just in denial and I just put it to the side. Right around, I think 2020 or 2021 then, a new subreddit formed on Reddit called r/getting-bigger. And the mods of this subreddit wanted to create their own because they didn't agree exactly with the procedures and the protocols and the routines and all the information that the guys at the other subreddit were doing. And this subreddit was a lot more, shall we say, like genuine. Like the people there seemed more genuine, less robotic, more like actual personable and characters. And I started looking into the subreddit a little bit after, just putting it off for years is just not being possible. And the amount of overwhelming evidence, I'm talking literal before and after pictures, people talking about their routines, talking about, being vulnerable about their experiences with their girl, etc. I was like, maybe this is real. Maybe this is real. Obviously, as any guy, no matter how big you are, you always want a little bit more. I was kind of insecure about the fact that I was kind of like a taller guy. I'm like 6'1", 6'2". I was over 200 pounds, and I was average down there. And I wasn't confident in myself in that aspect. And my experiences when it came to dating and intimacy weren't that great because of it either. I think maybe my external appearance created false expectations, maybe. So in addition to my brain tumor causing sexual dysfunction and ED. So I just had a lot of bad experiences with that in general. And PE was seemed like a way that I could boost my confidence more. And that's what I was obsessed with. How to become the most confident version of myself, the best version of myself. That's how the Evolve method was created. So that was 2021. I started PE. And I got insane results within like 5 months. I gained like half an inch of length, like a quarter inch of girth within 4 or 5 months. And then since then I've gained, I was on or off, took some breaks, etc. Maybe like 3 years of total time. I've gained a bit over an inch of length and girth. So since then I've created the Evolve method. I've spread my own routines. I have my own routines, my philosophies with this. I would consider myself an expert now on this topic. And I've coached many men to success as well, who got even better results than me. Some of my results actually kind of slow in terms of length. Girth, I gained pretty fast. I've created a 150-page ebook, which I believe is the best source of information for anyone wanting to get started on PE. Really, everything you need to know at all is in that ebook, and it's helped a lot of guys as well. So that's kind of how we got to where we are today. And this channel, PE is just one part of the Evolve method. That's why if you guys see on our channel, we create videos on all different types of things. So if you're wondering what our niche is, it's how to help men be the best version of themselves. This is a channel for that. It's not just a channel for fitness, just a channel for PE, just a channel for meditation, for diet, whatever you may be. It's everything, because it is the Evolve method. We are the Evolve method brothers. And if you stick here and you listen to us and you follow our philosophy with the self-improvement routine, you will become more confident than you even thought possible. Get more results in your life dating than you even thought was possible. So that's the history of PE, the ancient origins through the dawn of the internet to modern Reddit forums to where we are today with the Evolve method. Hope you guys got some good information from this video and a good overall sense of the history of PE. If you guys have any other questions, put them in the comments below. Or, I know this is a more personal topic, if you want to book a one-on-one call with me and just talk about this or ask any questions, you can in the description. Totally free. Other than that, please like the video for the algorithm. And as always, subscribe for truth,